Hello, my name is Gaman, and I'm the Managing Director of Nuru Nigeria. My story began in 2010 as a medical student in the University of Maiduguri. I was studying to become a medical doctor. This is the vision I have for myself since the age of 6. Medicine for me was about saving life, and that was the only way I knew to save life. Imagine being a student, and every morning you're haunted by the stories of your colleagues being missing. You meet exchange of gunshots at your school park. And to worsen it all, you have learned to coin bomb blast as flashing or ringing tone. This was our stories as students studying in Maiduguri. Every day was uncertain, fragile, and filled with fright. This very day, I was in the teaching hospital after my pathology classes, and I just wanted to stay back to study a little more. When 3 bomb blasts occurred in the span of less than 10 minutes. One was in the largest market of the Northeast, the Monday market. The second at one of the largest tech location in the Northeast, post office. And the third, right at the police station in front of the teaching hospital. The earth was literally shaking at that moment. In split minutes, we saw bodies trickling into the teaching hospital. We saw people coming with injuries of stray bullets, people who have been trampled upon, and other situations. As a young student, a little less than 20 years old, I witnessed a moment that actually changed my life. Because in that moment, we didn't recognize who was a nurse, who was a doctor, who was a professor, who was a cleaner, or who was a student. In that moment, we only had one option. We all were united to save life. I remember this young boy who was a little bit, maybe at the age of 8 or 9, whom I held in my hands with blood gushing out of his eyes, ears, nose. This boy died in my hands. At that time, all I could think about is that medicine saves life, it treats wounds. However, sometimes before people get to the hospital, it is already too late. But as young as I was, I couldn't think of another option because this is my dream that was shattered right before me. What is resilience? Resilience, as we say in the development setting, is the ability to withstand shocks and stresses without losing your core identity. It's the ability for young Amy to wake up the next day to say, I will still go back for my classes. It is the ability for Amy to think that medicine alone does not define her. She needed to create a path for herself. I'm excited at 2020 and 2012, I graduated with a degree in human anatomy. But when you're done with degree in human anatomy, guess what the society imagines you will become? A mortuary attendant. Exactly. So young Amy needed to battle with the ambition of being a medical doctor, now changing to probably being a mortuary attendant. So I started volunteering in communities. I was very audacious about my volunteerism because the first community I started volunteering in is in a community called Kolfota. Kolfota is in Cameroon, not in Nigeria. Amidst this crisis, I knew that to create a path for myself, I needed to be resilient. I needed to be resolute. I needed to have the ability to move beyond this narrative. What is hope? Sometimes we define hope as a very wishful thinking. However, over my 15 years journey, as someone who has been in a for profit venture, a non-profit venture, both in humanitarian and the development space, I have begun to see hope as the expectation of fulfilling a purpose that will lead you to the journey of divine fulfillment. Hope is actually what I see every day. Hope was what I saw in the young Chibok girls who were abducted by the Boko Haram insurgents and were able to escape. They got shelter in the American University of Nigeria, and I helped them through their journey to reintegrate into the community. We started from the foundation program, a remedial class that will take them into the university. We started from what is your name? How do we write it? How do we write letters? How do we write sentences in English? And how do we do public speaking? And now we have some of them who are accountants, who are building their personal businesses, and a lot of them now graduates. I learned that hope is born by survivors who decide to learn every day, who decide to build relationship, who decide to move beyond the nights that they cannot sleep, who decide to move beyond their trauma and see a greater future that will lead to the fulfillment of their purpose. While after I finished working with the Chibok girls, I decided to venture into a new space of adventure. Because what trauma does to you sometimes, when it shatters your dream, it also gives you the audacity to dare beyond the dream you had at first. I started working in one of the former caliphates of the Boko Haram insurgents. You can imagine what my mom will be saying. Every night she wakes up, she will call me and say, Amy, I dreamed that there was a bomb blast in this location again. I am scared because she was right by my bedside on the nights I could not sleep after returning from University of Maiduguri. And she was imagining that I will be reliving those moments. It was in this quest and in this journey that I met with the founder of Nuru International. Jack Harriman had a vision of ending extreme poverty and providing meaningful choices, especially for people who live in fragile states. He was providing a counter narrative to violence. He started sowing the seeds of this vision in Kenya and Ethiopia, and now he was in Nigeria. I had a 2 hours conversation with Jack Harriman and took the bold move to actually start a local world class organization that today becomes what we know as Nuru Nigeria. Our vision as Nuru is a world without cycles of unjust poverty, where resilience and hope is cultivated in the most marginalized communities in the world. What does hope as a skill look like? Hope as a skill actually looks like the moment when you wake up every day to write a goal and decide to pursue it. Hope as a skill looks like the days you identify a mentor and decide to follow in the right footprints of that mentor. Hope as a skill for our farmers means Nuru giving them input to cultivate their lands, Nuru supporting them with small ruminants so that they can diversify their income. Hope for them means profitable livelihood. And for Nuru, we are able to dare to say you have to move from thinking of agriculture as just your ancestral trade. Agriculture should be a business and it should be run as an enterprise that aims to profitability. We should stop depending on handout interventions because definitely they have a clock ticking for them. We have to get to a point where we are self reliant. Currently, Nuru has been able to reach directly 36,000 individuals, over 6,500 farmers in our database, and we started a journey where households were earning only $13 a year, and now they have $145 each year over a half hectare land. So the yields have increased, profitability has increased, and their stories have changed. Some life lessons I have learned as Amy is that resilience is not forged by avoiding the pains. It is forged by embracing the path to healing and growing. You have to learn, relearn, and unlearn every day. The day you stop learning is the day that you have killed your dreams. Hope means different things for different people. But for me, hope has become a better future, always thinking about possibilities. Hope is a skill that is developed through setting of goals, authenticity, and agency. And I will always repeat, and the audacity to pursue your dreams. So I ask you today, what is resilience in your life? What has adversity shaped you into? And what hopeful dreams are you building for yourself and trying to walk through today? When we learn hope and we practice hope, we become the engine room for transformative change. Thank you.